It was a quiet, grey evening that felt heavier than normal because it had been raining non-stop. Afternoon tapping against the windows like it had something important to say. I was curled up on the couch with a cup of chamomile tea and a fleece blanket draped over my legs, flipping through channels with nothing catching my attention when I heard the doorbell ring. I wasn't expecting anyone. I hesitated for a moment, wondering if it was just a package delivery, but then came a second knock, firm, urgent. I got up, slipped on my slippers, and opened the door. Standing there soaked from head to toe was my nephew Jason. He looked like he'd been through something. His usually neat, sandy blonde hair was plastered to his forehead, and his blue hoodie clung to his frame like it had absorbed the weight of his troubles. His brown eyes, so much like his mother's, were wide and unsettled. "Aunt Lisa," he said, his voice low, almost trembling. "Can I come in?" "Of course," I said quickly, stepping aside. He walked past me and stood awkwardly in the entryway. I grabbed a towel from the hallway closet and handed it to him. He dried off in silence while I watched him with growing worry. Jason wasn't the type of kid who just dropped by. He was respectful, independent, and always insisted on taking care of things on his own, even when he was little. Something was very wrong. I led him to the couch and put a plate of reheated lasagna in front of him. He picked at it for a few minutes before finally saying, "I'm in trouble." My heart sank, but I didn't let my worry show on my face. He swam hard while looking at the half-eaten food. "I made some mistakes in college, not with school stuff. I mean, classes are fine. I didn't interrupt. I knew he needed space to let it all out. I got in with some people I thought they were cool at first. You know, guys in my dorm who always had money through the best parties. They started inviting me out, and I didn't want to say no. I felt like I finally belonged somewhere." He paused, gripping his fork tightly. Then came the favors. At first, it was little stuff drive. Someone somewhere let them use your room for a night, pick up a package. Nothing illegal. Or so I thought. But it wasn't innocent. I didn't realize what I was mixed up in until it was too late. My throat tightened, but I kept my voice calm. "What happened? I owe them a lot, and not just money. They're saying I need to repay them by doing one more thing, something I don't want to do. I tried to get out of it. They laughed and told me to either do it or pay them back immediately. Why not go to the police?" He looked up at me for the first time since I got there. His eyes were red because he knew that if I went to the police, they would share videos, photos, messages, and other things that would ruin me. I was stupid. I said and did things that I didn't know would have consequences at the time. "Your parents would freak out. Your dad would lose it. Your mum would cry. I don't want to let them down." He leaned forward and whispered, "I didn't know who else to go to. I thought maybe you could help. You've always been the only person in this family who sees me." That broke a little inside. Jason was a good kid. He didn't deserve this. "What exactly do you need me to do?" I asked. "They want to meet tomorrow for a quick talk," I replied. "But I know what that means. I don't want to go alone." He paused and looked embarrassed. "Would you come with me? Just be there. Maybe you can say something that makes them back off." I should have said no, I told him. "This is beyond me." The son of my sister, the boy who used to build Lego towers in my living room, I just couldn't say no to him. I said something that surprised both of us. "Tell me where and when." He looked relieved right away, and we spent the rest of the night making plans. I made him take a shower, change into my ex-husband's old clothes, and crash on the couch. I barely slept because I kept thinking about the worst things that could happen, but I knew one thing for sure: I was going to be there for him. The next day, we went to a parking lot that was empty, just off an exit from the highway about 30 minutes outside of the city. The air was thick with humidity, and my hands were wet on the driving wheel. Jason sat next to me and looked tense. "There," he said, pointing to a black pickup truck parked under a flickering lamppost. Two men stood nearby. They didn't look much older than Jason, but they walked with the arrogance of someone who knew they had power over someone else. One wore dark sunglasses and a muscle jacket despite the heat, and the other was aggressively chewing gum, with his jaw twitching. When we got out of the car, I kept my chin up, but my heart was racing. Is that her? I asked who she was, and one of them said, She's my aunt. Jason replied, She's just here to talk. I spoke up because I wanted to clear up a few things. You made threats against my nephew. He's young and made some mistakes, but this has gone too far. The guy with the gum smirked and said, Mistakes have consequences, lady. I answered, But so do threats. I recorded everything Jason said, including the names of places he went and times he did them. A copy is already backed up on a cloud drive and ready to be sent to the police if anything happens to me or him. They looked at each other and said, This is some kind of bluff, try me. I pulled out my phone. I don't want trouble, and neither does Jason, but we're not afraid of you. They stood there for a moment, thinking about what to do. Then the guy in the sunglasses laughed short, You got guts, I'll give you that. They shook their heads and walked away, as if this had all been a small bother. As they drove off, Jason looked shocked and asked, Did that really just happen? He asked. I nodded and tried to keep my hands from shaking. Yes, but this isn't over yet. We'll get you the right kind of help. Back at my house, Jason broke down everything he had bottled up, spilled out his fear, his shame, his anger at himself. I held him, while he cried, whispering that he wasn't alone. We spent the next few weeks focusing on getting him out of that toxic environment. He withdrew from the university temporarily and started therapy with support. He slowly rebuilt himself. A few months later, he sent me a handwritten letter in it. He said something that stayed with me forever. Thank you for being the person I could run to when it felt like my whole world was falling apart. I thought asking for help made me weak, but you showed me that strength can look like a warm meal, a steady voice and someone who stands by you. No matter what, Jason eventually returned to school, but at a new campus with a clean slate, he found healthier friendships, joined a volunteer group, and even began mentoring younger students about peer pressure and making better choices. And me, I learned something too. Sometimes being an adult doesn't mean having all the answers. Sometimes it means being willing to stand in the storm with someone else until they find their way out. That rainy night, when Jason showed up on my doorstep, changed everything for both of us. Because the first time my nephew asked for help, I did something I never imagined I'd do. I became his anchor, and I'd do it all over again.